Welcome, my loves. I am Melissa, your guide to the cosmic and shamanic truths of this reality, here to establish a paradigm in cosmic, divine, truthful God's design. Man, I just came up with that. I like it. Okay, we're on fire. First things first, okay? If you ever look into the camera and you're like, I don't know about that, it's never you, baby. It's never you. It's always the lighting. Got it. So before we get into the topic, my birthday is coming up. And I know it was a little spontaneous, but when God's calling, we gotta pick up the phone. So I rented this beautiful 50-acre luxe spa Airbnb situation in the middle of the desert in Joshua Tree, like hot tub, cold plunge, luxury sauna. Like, we're talking luxury. Like, it's really, really beautiful. And I want to celebrate it with you. And I have one spot left, and you have until December 2nd latest to sign up for it. I know it's spontaneous, but the reason why you don't know about it yet is because either you haven't subscribed to the newsletter or you haven't opened the emails. Either way, you're naughty, okay? But still, if your heart says yes, it's probably a yes. It's going to be a very unique experience, because I'm bringing my favorite clients together and I'm gonna bring my best friends together. So it's gonna be really intimate. And it's not your regular healing retreat where you have this whole itinerary, because, you know, when we are the work, we don't need to do the work constantly because we live it, we breathe it. And to me, the healing doesn't happen in these planned out schedules, but the healing happens in the cracks, for whatever that means. Like the cracks of, like, we're in a conversation, we're underneath the stars, right? It's like we are the healing. And so this is just a relaxed 3-day getaway where everyone can do whatever they want, and we're gonna cook. If you wanna go into that yoga studio, there's like this beautiful yoga casita, and you want to journal and sing all day, go ahead and do that. If you want to record content there because it's just the vibe, go ahead and do that, right? And if we want to come together, we come together. Either way, the women I bring are deep, they're real, and it's going to be really fun. And if you feel it, and maybe you live in Arizona or you live in California and you're like, I can make this work, please join us. And you can always schedule a 15-minute free consultation with me so I can, like, you know, give you the vibe, because maybe you haven't met me yet, or you don't want to go and be around strangers, or you want to feel it out. I'm really good at discerning. So I know who would fit and what would fit. So don't be afraid. And if you feel it, you feel it for a reason. You might be that last spot that wants to be filled. Today's topic is the shamanic aspects of sales and what makes sales so deep, multidimensional, and a skill you want to learn. And if you're like, hey, I'm not into sales, I don't have a business, I'm not an entrepreneur, I don't care about sales, I hate sales, good. Stay either way. Because the thing is, you will need the sales skill in almost every arena of your life. And if you're not into sales or you're not obsessed with sales, either you haven't contemplated it enough, you haven't walked your path truthfully yet, or you have a really shitty belief around sales. So either way, stay, because it's gonna get really interesting. Because you know me, I don't look at things superficially. I'm not gonna regurgitate things about sales that only apply to salespeople. But there's a really beautiful, again, and multidimensional truth in sales. And it's honestly one of our most divine tools that we have when we recognize the underbelly, and not the soft white underbelly, but the truthful underbelly of what sales really is. So let's get into it. And like a good girl, look at this. Look at this. I brought all my notes on my burner phone. Yes, I have 2 phones. You want that, baby. Like, you want one phone that's like nice and neat for recording, where none of your social crap goes on. And then I have my work phone and my old phone. It's yeah. When I work on my good phone, I get shit done. Okay, so here's the deal. Not caring about sales, hating sales, and success do not go together. So in this video, we're going to create the mental foundation for your success. Because the deeper you understand, doesn't matter, you understand sales, and the more you fall in love with it, the higher the chances are that you're going to bring in success. And you know, the way we define success here is you're thriving at what God created you to do and to bring to this world. So sales and the skill of sales is highly multidimensional. There are certain skills that not everyone needs, but certain skills everyone has to master. And sales is one of them. Sales is multidimensional, which means knowing sales is highly energetic and requires a lot of energetic mastery, and you want to master that for any form of success. These are life skills you need. And yes, we call it sales, but again, these are skills for life, for communication. There's an energetic mastery that comes with sales, loving sales, and being good at sales. And I call it like the access code to all of your other skill sets. Right? There's certain skills like SEO proficiency or knowing how to code an app. Not everyone needs that skill of coding an app. Not everyone needs to be good at SEO proficiency. Like your business will thrive even if you don't know anything about SEO, because it's something you can outsource. It's kind of a one-dimensional skill set. Knowing SEO doesn't really aid to anything in your life. It doesn't really aid to any other aspects in your life. I mean, if you're very highly aware and you go through life lucidly, every skill that you learn, even if it's one-dimensional, will feed other parts of your life. But certain skills like sales and marketing, for example, are skills that everyone needs to master. You cannot outsource them. You can to a certain degree, but then you're missing the whole benefit. It's a multidimensional skill. It's the access code to all of your other core skills. Because what's the point of having all these glorious skills if no one gets to access them? And if you suck at sales, because either you've never contemplated it, you don't care about it, or you hate it, or you feel like you're not in the field of sales, no one gets to experience your mastery in all of these other areas of life. Let's say you can read someone's energetic light body blueprint like a children's book, and you can tell them exactly where the blockages are. You can tell exactly where they're stuck. You can tell exactly where they're thinking or their mentality is inverted. That's an incredible skill set or skill. What's the point of having that if you can't get someone to say yes to experiencing that? Right? What if you're the absolute greatest musician on earth and yet you don't know how to sell yourself? What's the point of that? So that's why I see sales as the access code to all of your core skills. Let's say you're a great teacher, a great coach, a hypnotherapist, whatever you are, right? You're incredible at money mindset, like all of these things. You're wonderful with people. You have like hands from God that can heal by a simple touch. So that access code allows people to, what is that? Oh my God, sorry. It's a Javelina gang. Oh my God, look at that. Wait, can I? Oh my God. They're blessing us. They definitely got the access code to my front porch. I'm so happy. Babies! You're distracting me with your cuteness. Look at them. Can you see them? Do they have babies? Sometimes they have babies. And you would think that the babies are my favorite, but actually it's like the stragglers. It's the lonesome riders and the old ones and the ones that have like some weird bumps and wounds that are my favorite. Okay, they're gone. Thank you, babies. I'm crying. Okay, where were we? access code sales. I got lost in the javelina sauce. If you don't know what javelinas are, they're like a mix of hamster and a pig, like quite literally. They're closer related or more closely related to a hamster or rodent than they are to a pig. I think their breed is called a pecorino. Yeah, and they're home to Arizona, and that was really special. And I can still see you. I see you. Oh my God. Sorry. I hope you love them as much as I do, because I could literally watch them all day. I wish I could feed you some carrots right now, but no. We're in this thing, okay? You have to master sales, at least if you're actually real and responsible about your service to humanity. I know that a lot of my spiritual peeps say that they want to elevate the world, they want to anchor in new earth paradigms, they want to be of service, and yet they refuse to master the access code skill set that allows the service to be distributed, right? I live in Sedona, so I have so many of my people here are truly like inventors, like nerdy scientists, new earth tech. And so many here are just body workers beyond imagination. So many of here have like truly like psychic or like God-given skills that allow them to truly read someone authentically. These are skills that are beyond a lot of people's imaginations. And yet these people refuse to learn the skill, the very skill that could help them to distribute that. Don't be like that. And if I didn't know better, I would say, oh, that's so sad, right? No one gets to see your new earth tech, or no one gets to actually experience how gifted you are. But it's not sad, it's laziness, and it's a lack of responsibility. Would I rather be naked, dance around, sing all day, let my throat rip and be an oracle and massage all day? Yes. But what's the point if no one gets to experience these gifts because no one knows that I'm existing and I don't know how to sell it? I don't know how to get someone to even commit to that. There's no point in that. So if you take your responsibility as a new earth leader, a starseed, as a leader, teacher, and I am here to anchor in the new ways. What are the skill sets that I need to master for that? I don't care. I'm not afraid to do the work, even if it's not as fun. So that's what sales is. That's why sales is a multidimensional skill set, because it gets people to even agree to experience all your other skills. So if I had to put into one sentence what sales really is, and we'll make it really easy. Sales is the art of knowing how to get someone to commit to something that is good for them. Like really, really simple. Sales is knowing, or being good at selling is knowing how to get someone to commit to something that is beneficial and good for them. There are two basic prerequisites that make a sale even possible. And number one is value. Number two is education. So for someone to want to buy something or opt into a service, opt into a product, book your coaching, book your service, buy your product, whatever it is, they have to perceive the value of it. So yes, the prerequisite is the value has to be clear. There has to be more value in the service, product, or you than in the money that is currently in their pocket. The second one is education. Your people have to be educated and informed. And a lot of times people don't need to be more educated on a service or a product, right? If, let's say, you're offering a coffee alternative, sometimes people don't need to be more educated on the great vitamins and goji berry that is in your coffee alternative, but maybe they need to be educated on the problem. Maybe they need to be educated on the fact that coffee is detrimental for their nervous system, that coffee is actually aging them, or whatsoever, right? So that is just an example. People need to be educated on the problem, or they need to be made aware of a problem that they oftentimes don't know they have. And they need to be made aware of the pleasure that's waiting on the other side of solving that problem. So these are the two prerequisites. That's like, you need that as a foundation for any sale. But here's the thing. Just because someone is aware of the value and is educated doesn't mean they're gonna buy. And this is where sales comes in. Sales, I'm gonna rate that, is the advanced art of enticing people to say yes to spiritual transformation. It's the cunning mastery of advising and persuading people to commit to their highest expression. Now, here's the thing. Why does it have to be so artful and cunning if the benefit is clear? Like, shouldn't it just be, hey, here's product, here's service. Okay, great service, yes, I buy. It's not that easy. And sales is the art form of presenting it in a certain way, an energetic mastery, right? And I do see sales as this dance, right? The serpent dance. And that's why a lot of people perceive it as sleazy, but it's not. It's not sleazy, it's not dark if we utilize this gift to sell someone something that would transform their life. Because just because something's good for someone and they see the value and they are educated doesn't mean they say yes. And now you might ask, why is that? If it's obviously good for them, why do we need sales? Why do we need the mastery or the energetic mastery of sales? And sales is change. Sales is always change. And change is risky to the subconscious. Even if the change is desired, there's an immense risk to change for the subconscious. And of course, some of your clients that are more advanced or have gone through a lot of transformation, they are familiar with change. They are familiar with the fear within that comes up. But a lot of people need more hand-holding, and a lot of people need you to master the energetics behind sales so they can safely say yes, because every sale is change and every change is a risk, even if the change is desired. And think about yourself for a second. Even though you oftentimes know what's good for you, your logical thinking brain knows exactly what to eat or what to do in order to feel good. But it oftentimes takes a lot of tricks to make that happen for yourself, because there's something speaking louder, and that's your subconscious or a habit. Right, let's say you went on a trash food bender because you were on vacation and you were just splurging. You were eating whatever you wanted for a week straight. And even though on the regular you're very disciplined, once you're in that habit, like, you're just riding the momentum. And even though you know how much better a salad and a juice would feel compared to a vegan fake cheese pizza, okay? You're having a hard time going back to the habit of salad and juice because you're riding the momentum. So even though you exactly know what's good for you, you're not buying into the healthy paradigm right now because you're on that momentum. That's the same thing with sales, right? So oftentimes people know exactly what's good for them, but it takes a pattern disruptor to move them from one timeline to the next. So with the food, maybe you need a day of water fast, right? To break that cycle, to like get yourself out of that paradigm and move into that healthy timeline of salads, juice, or whatever. Nothing about that is sleazy. It's just knowing that even though people know what's good for them, it takes some mastery for them to actually commit to the very thing that's good for them. Because knowing it and executing it are two different things. That's why we need energetic mastery when it comes to sales. That's persuasion. Persuasion is not convincing. Persuasion is that art form of knowing how to kind of trick someone from that bad habit or that momentum that isn't serving into the serving momentum. So if you really want to get good at sales, burn that into your cerebral cortex that sales is change, and change is always risky for the subconscious. And To a logical mind, it doesn't make sense. But the subconscious knows how to survive in that shitty momentum, even though it's not desired. But the subconscious is like, yeah, these circumstances suck, but at least I know how to keep the vessel safe in these circumstances. When we introduce change, the subconscious has to readapt. The subconscious doesn't know that the change is desired and the change is actually going to make the vessel more safe. All the subconscious knows is, oh, wait, now we have to readapt. That will cost energy. That is a risk. So that is important to understand with every sales process. And that's why I see selling as a process of doulaing. And yes, it's a word. I looked it up. If you don't know what a doula is, it's basically a midwife, right? Someone who helps someone through the birth process from start to finish. And that's what selling is. It's the sacred art of assisting someone through a big change and transformation. And some people are very familiar with change, and they know that after a yes, oftentimes comes a moment of doubt. But some of your people are opting into a big transformation for maybe the first time. Maybe it's the first time they're opting into a 30K coaching program. Maybe it's the first time they're even saying yes to a coach in general. It doesn't even have to be 30K. It could be like $500. It's a lot for a lot of people because they're scared of the change. They don't know what to expect. So whatever it is, or it's a product that would change their life. Someone who is used to that knows that there's a yes, there's an immediate excitement, but there will be doubt along the way. And so your job as a good doula, not a salesperson, you're a doula. You're literally helping someone through a new portal. Your job is to make this person feel safe, to advise them. You are on that metaphorical mountaintop. You've done this before. You might have walked this mountain 100 times. You know exactly the path to the top of the mountain, and you know what's waiting on top of the mountain. Your person, your client, your people, they don't know that. All they see is a big giant mountain they have to climb. And even though they, in their fantasy, in their imagination, they do want what's on top of the mountain, they might have never experienced even what's on top of the mountain. They have an idea of it. You have experienced the mountaintop. So it's really your job to say, hey, this mountaintop is everything you want, and I know how to get you there. And you might not be able to see what's on top here, but I can, and I will help you to climb this freaking big giant mountain. You don't have to be afraid, or you can be afraid, but we're gonna do it anyway, right? So making or reassuring them that fear is not a bad thing. That's just a natural process of all of it. Just like with a mother that wants to give birth at home, right? And at first, in the beginning, she's super excited about that. During pregnancy, there will be moments of doubt. Or even while she's giving birth, maybe there's like a, shit, can I really do this? And as the doula, you're like, yes, you can. And you're here to advise and of course, see if it's really safe. And you're here to assist her. And that's what you are as that salesperson. You're here to advise the person. You're here to really handhold them through the process of saying yes. Because the process of saying yes is not just that one word, right? It's a whole birth that happens. There's an initial yes, there's an initial curiosity. There will be doubt because now the subconscious comes in and is like, whoa, I can feel the change and the transformation that's about to happen. That doesn't feel safe. And people who are not aware enough or who are not experienced enough, they will take this fear as a sign to not do it, when that's actually not what the fear is saying. Now, if you're not masterful at sales and you're not masterful at energetics, maybe you let them off the hook, so to speak, because you're like, oh yeah, whatever, just let it go. When that's not what the doula would do, right? The doula wouldn't just let the mom off the hook that's all of a sudden like, oh, you know what, I think I'll do this in the hospital. She's like, no, you got this. You're strong enough. You can do this at home because that's your desire. Your heart wants that. You want to have a home birth, and I'm going to help you like facilitate this home birth. So as a good doula, you're aware of the fear that oftentimes comes with the sale, and you know how to navigate it. So for sales to be this pure, we have to transmute sales. Because to make this even a possibility, money cannot be a factor for you. The only thing that can matter for you as a good salesperson, as a good sales doula, is this product, is this service beneficial for the person? If money plays some sort of role and it clouds your decision making for the person, you're operating in an inverted paradigm. As simple as that. And the fact that money is involved as an investment is really secondary. And the more money someone makes, the more apparent that is, right? The more money someone has, the less important is money in the sales process. Money just becomes enough of an incentive for the client to stick to their guns, to do what they said they would do, right? To get them to commit. For you, like the more money you make, the less money will matter for you. And in the beginning, of course, right, we're in survival. So that's where it becomes tricky. If you need a sale to survive, I highly advise you to have a part-time job or something else on the side. Because if your survival or the need for survival clouds your neutral perspective, it's a problem. You're probably operating in the inversion. And it's easy, right? If we have to fight for our own survival, it's hard to be totally neutral. And that's why sales has such a bad rap, right? Because a lot of time when sales is connected to survival, the predator in us comes out. That's just what happens. And when a salesperson operates in survival, that's dangerous. And that's why sales is often so charged, right? Sales is not a neutral word. It's not a neutral word like mailbox, right? I don't feel anything when I say mailbox, but when we hear the word sales, there is so much emotion connected to it, right? Because a lot of times we were either faced with someone who was really aggressive, we were faced with the convincing aspect, we were faced with the inverted paradigm of sales. Because like everything in this life, everything that is sacred at some point has been inverted. And the same thing happened with sales. I remember the way I was introduced to sales was just so like cringy and sleazy. I was a personal trainer, and you know, when I onboarded people or I signed people in for memberships, they wanted me to go through this whole script and dialogue of just cringy questions. And I was just like, yo guys, this is a gym. Like if people want to be here, they want to be here, right? That was my approach. And I'm like, I'm not going to ask them these stupid questions that every person will just feel awkward. This is just this weird play. And so I got so turned off by sales because of the way my former manager introduced me to it. And he was just such a like sleazeball, and it was just so disgusting to watch that whole process. It was just so cringy, and it wasn't me. And so after that, I was like, I don't want anything to do with sales. I hate sales. Well, didn't really work out for me that well, because the moment I decided, well, I have to take the entrepreneurial route in order to achieve what I want to achieve in this lifetime, I need to get good at sales. And so trying to be an entrepreneur while rejecting sales, it's not going to work out for you. So it took me years and years and years to get over my shitty beliefs around sales, or the lies that I told myself about sales. And here's the thing. We might compartmentalize it in our brain that, well, sales is sales and it doesn't impact anything else in my life. So if I hold a lie around the subject of sales, it doesn't matter. Your energetic blueprint, your light body, does not compartmentalize things the way your brain does. If you believe in a false paradigm, you believe in a false paradigm, period. If you hold beliefs or lies around sales, how it's sleazy, how it's perverted, how it's inverted, how it's service to self, all of these things, and you reject it, or you have this immense negative charge towards sales, it's like a knot in your energy current, your brain might think, well, that's just sales. It compartmentalizes it. Your energy system doesn't. And the very lie that you hold, or the false paradigm that you hold alive in your field, impacts everything in your life. And our system, our light body, is so intricate, you might not be aware of how much the lies you believe around sales or entrepreneurship or whatever are impacting all areas of your life. That's why here in this channel, my duty, my responsibility, and the reason why I breathe is to walk everything back into purity, every inversion back into purity. And that isn't just one topic, right? That's all parts of our lives. And so if you think sales and you think sleazy, or you think it's disgusting, or there's a negative charge, or you think it's a scam, everyone who sells is a scam artist, right? If you have any of these beliefs, you're upholding an inverted paradigm. If an inverted paradigm is alive in your field, that will impact you, right? Just like sex is pure, but for a lot of people, sex is abuse. That's a perverted inversion. And just because there are areas where sex becomes abuse doesn't change the essence of it is purity. The same for sales. I hope this makes sense. Like if you uphold a lie in your field, an inversion in your field, if an inversion is breathing, is alive in your field, it is just that, an inversion that lives in your field. And it will create a ripple effect, and it will have an effect on your whole light body, on your whole energy system, and it will impact your life. Because yes, in our logical mind, or the way we process, we compartmentalize things. Our energy body does not. That's why it's important to not overlook any lie that lives in our field and be curious around everything. If you feel that there's a charge around whatever it is, explore that. Right? It might seem like it has nothing to do with anything, but it does. These little knots, when we untie them, they open up our whole field. So that's why I told you in the beginning, even though you're not into sales and you think it's not important for you, it is love, because we can't compartmentalize. So let's get into the 7 aspects of sales mastery. Number 1 is cosmic clarity and purity in vision. Good sales requires an eye for your person's potential. If you want to be good at sales, you need a clear vision of who they could be. So God needs to lend you the eyes of purity so you can see the clear potential of your person. And when you can see someone with clarity and you have a purity in the vision of the way you see your person, that is probably the most important aspect to sales. And I want you to think about the power in that. If you believe in someone more than they believe in themselves, or if you see a potential in them that they have never uncovered, think about the immense power of that. What you sell them is the highest version of themselves. And with that, you have the eyes of, let's say, a basketball coach. Imagine a basketball coach watching a couple 5-year-olds throw the ball. I can guarantee you, he could spot the one little dude that could be an NBA player just based on his little foot game, or based on the way he throws the ball, or based on the way how he gets up when he falls. And now imagine how life-changing this is for the little guy if the coach is like, you are going to be an NBA player. You have the potential of a professional basketball player. Translate that into the work that you do. Doesn't that change the outcome or the whole trajectory of this little boy's life? So imagine the times when someone saw a potential in you that you didn't even know you had, or something that was just so natural for you and someone pointed it out. So like anytime someone looked at me in awe of like, wow, like you're so masterful at that. And I'm like, I'm just doing me. I didn't know that was a thing. But it changed the whole way I looked at myself. So if you can pray and through lived prayer adapt that purity of vision, because the more you are real, the more you are truth, the more you are purified, the more God will give you his vision. And when you have God's vision, you can spot the potential in someone. That's a gift that is beyond payment. The gift of seeing potential in someone, the gift of believing in someone is worth more than any money anyone could ever pay you. It will change the person's life. Now, if the person comes to you and they tell you what they desire in life, and you can be the one that believes in them, and you're like, we got this. Let's join in. Let's do this thing. I'll get you to the top of that mountain. I've kind of been there. I know how to get there. I know how to get you there. I believe in you. Like, that is a gift that you have as a teacher, as a coach, but that's the gift of a salesperson, a doula, a sales doula, right? That purity in vision. And that in itself sells the product or sells the service, because you can already see that person. You see their potential beyond their own vision, right? Maybe they don't have the vision for it. Maybe they don't see themselves. You see them from a bird's eye view. They can only see themselves from within. I mean, not only, right? But oftentimes it's easier for someone else from the outside to spot our potential. The second aspect of sales mastery is your consistency, because consistency creates trust and it creates opportunity. So if you're not consistent for yourself, be consistent for your people, because the more consistently you do your thing, the more consistently you show up, the more someone else can trust you. If you just sporadically pop up on someone's feed and you're like, here, I'm selling this, or here, I'm offering this, how can they trust you? If they see you consistently making offers, if they see you consistently showing up, that creates trust. They have the opportunity to watch you and be like, okay, that's what's going on. This person is consistent. This person is showing up. So the consistency applies for you creating content, or for you just being consistent with whatever you're doing, right? Creating sessions, creating offerings, be consistent in that. But also be consistent in the process of sales. So let's say you're already in a sales conversation. Let's say you talk to the person directly. Be consistent in your approach. Just because someone said no in the moment doesn't mean that the person said no to the offer or to you. Oftentimes a no is just a yes on hold. And there is nothing annoying about or sleazy about reaching back out to the person. Whether you're reaching back out like one-on-one personally, or you're connecting with them in the newsletter. Right? So it's also okay to over and over offer in the newsletter, even though you feel like no one's responding. Them not responding doesn't mean no, not interested. Them not responding might be I'm waiting for the time to say yes. But you have to be consistent enough. And a lot of times we start something, we don't see immediate results, and then we drop it. If you're offering something that you cannot not do, right? It's your life. You're gonna do this for the next 10 years. Keep offering it, even though you don't get immediate reward. Give people a chance to say yes. And the problem for most people is not that their offerings suck, it's just they don't stick with it long enough for people to even say yes. So create consistency, because that creates trust and opportunity. If you have to show up on social media diligently for 3 years, then that's what you have to do. Even if for the first 3 years, it seems like you're only sowing and not reaping. That's what that is about, right? We sow and then we reap later than we sow. And a lot of us get discouraged by the lack of response. That's okay. You can follow up with someone. That's just consistency. We'll get a little more to that in one of the next parts. The third aspect of good sales or the sales mastery is credibility. And credibility at this point doesn't require you to have 1,000 degrees. But credibility makes it so much easier for someone to say yes to the sale, for someone to buy. And credibility happens when you already solve a problem for free. Credibility happens when you give them a perspective your people didn't have. Credibility happens when you solve a problem that people didn't know they even had, right? When you create value, you create credibility. Credibility is also created through a large following. So there is absolutely nothing wrong and everything right with desiring a large audience or wanting to build a large audience or wanting to have whatever Instagram or YouTube or TikTok fame. There is nothing wrong with that because it will create safety for the right people. A large audience will make your people feel safe, will make the right people feel safe. Because it's just like with a restaurant. When we see a packed restaurant, we want to eat there. We wouldn't go to the empty restaurant. So you having 5,000 followers versus 500,000, it will add a lot more credibility. People will feel safe. You've already proven that you care enough about what you're doing or that to stick with it to generate 500,000 followers, right? That's credibility. And it creates a certain safety. So, think about that when you create your audience. It just adds credibility for the right people that are meant to opt into your offers. Because unless you're a rebel at heart, human beings tend to want to do the thing that everyone else does. It just feels safe, again, unless you're a rebel at heart. Number 4 of sales mastery that will make a yes so much easier for your people is confidence and polarity mastery. That's one of my favorite ones. Because that's why I said sales is such a multidimensional skill. You have to know when to step into which polarity. First of all, be confident, right? No one will say yes to a question mark. No one will feel safe if you are a walking question mark or if you're offering something with a question mark of like, you want that? Who would walk into that? Because sales, when someone says yes, energetically, they are surrendering to you. Think about that dynamic. When someone says yes, when someone buys something, when someone makes a decision, there's a moment in which they surrender to you. That is submissive in nature. If you are not dominant, if you are not confident, if you don't create a clear space where they can walk into, they're not going to say yes because it doesn't feel safe. And I had to learn that the hard way. I had to learn that not through coaching calls or sales calls with coaching clients. I had to learn that on the street when I'm inviting people into an experience that they have no idea at the beginning of the day. They don't know that they're going to walk into this experience. I'm inviting people into a medical grade spa, and oftentimes people spend tens of thousands of dollars that day. When they woke up, they had no idea this thing even existed. To be able to invite someone, like literally cold sales, like from the streets, like, hey, come in. People don't come in if you invite them with a question mark and like, hey, you want to come in? It's like, come. I got something good for you. You might not know about this, but this will benefit you. There's a like, I got this, right? There's a safety. That's energetic mastery. By you claiming domain, you make them feel safe. You make them feel held in your arms. There's a fatherly presence. There's a clear direction. They just have to follow. So remember that. And it's not fake dominance, and it doesn't have to be like, "Roar." It can be very subtle, but it's energetic. And that's why we have to master polarities. And that's why sales is such a multi-dimensional skill, that if you master sales, you can master literally anything. You get paid to have enough confidence in the both of you. Remember that. When it comes to coaching, you never sell the modules or what's in there. You sell the outcome. And so don't ever create a coaching program or a group program before you have people in it. Like, that's, first of all, that's really hard to do. And a lot of times you put so much pressure on yourself. Just invite someone and then figure it out as you go. Get clear on what they desire and how the outcome looks, and you'll know how to get them there. The fifth part of masterful sales is communicational mastery. Excelling for you, regardless of what you do, is never feature driven, especially if you're a teacher or you're a coach. You're not selling a freaking kitchen. You don't have to tell someone, oh, this has these many modules and it's this many hours and we meet at this time of day and you get that. No one cares about that. People care about the transformation. Even when they get a product, it's outcome driven. So be very clear, right? When you're guiding someone to the mountaintop. And just as a tip, when you're starting off and you're creating offerings, you don't have to know how they look like exactly, because not everyone gets the same. Not everyone takes the same route onto the mountaintop, especially when you work with individuals. So, or your first group coaching program, you don't have to know how the modules look like. You create it on the go. You just need to be very clear what is the outcome that is desired. Okay, the next aspect of the communicational mastery to me is the tempo. Where are your people at? It doesn't matter if you're ready to sell. Feel into them. And when you take yourself out of the equation, which is what a good sales doula does, you don't care about if you're ready to sell. Are they ready? Are they warm? And what do they need to be warm? Maybe some people are ready the first time they hear you. They know what's good for them. They're decisive. It's easy. Some people need 3 years of watching you. Some people need the first call and they need to hear, okay, what are the digits? What are the details? Let me feel it out. And I have this really great example. It is awesome. Like these Serbian boys, and it's like so great. I actually want to, I hope I can find their website. So these Serbian boys, they all look like they're 18 or still coming out of puberty. It's like 6 of them. They're so freaking precious. And one of them sent me this whole presentation on how I could improve my funnel. So he literally went on my website, he showed me like what to do, and he sent me this 5-minute presentation. And they were just so precious, and I was so impressed by that. So I'm like, yeah, dude, like actually I am interested. So I sent them an email. And I responded, I'm like, you know what? Like, you put in so much work. I'm impressed. Like, I am actually curious about how you could help me improve my sales funnels. But I was also super busy. So they are kind of like a bad example of a tempo. They're freaking precious. So it doesn't annoy me. But ever since I'm like, hey, yeah, I am curious about it. But I had a lot on my plate. So after that, they literally reached out to me every other day. So in the last 3 weeks, I received 14 emails that all say, hey, just following up. Hey, just following up. And I kind of want to send them like a little like guide on, hey, like clearly, yes, I showed interest. It's not my tempo, right? If you can tell that someone's, not responding, at least give them 2 weeks in between. Like set a schedule and reach out every 2 weeks. And you can do that with your people too. Again, there's nothing annoying about that. If it's annoying to the person, they will tell you, or they will tell you, hey, I'm gonna reach back out in 6 months from now. Or you give them like this time window of, hey, I see that right now you have a lot on your plate. Like that's communicational mastery. Feel into their bandwidth. If they are interested, like clearly they're interested, right? You had a call with them. They know what's going on. They know about the product, but they're not responding or they haven't given you a yes. Give them time. And you can tell them, hey, I'm going to get back to you in 3 months from now because I can tell you have a lot on your plate. And it's probably right now you don't have the energetic bandwidth to commit to that. But I'll connect back with you in 3 months from now, and then reach back out in 3 months. There's nothing annoying about that. And that's actually how I started my first really like to me, that was a lot of money. Like my first 20K coaching program. It took me months to say yes. And it was because of her energetic mastery that I said yes. Not ever was it annoying. But again, sales and the subconscious fear is so tricky, right? I knew I wanted to work with her. I knew because of her embodiment, she had what I needed. She had something figured out, and she could see me, and she could see who I was from a level that no one else was able to. I know I had to work with her, and I knew it would be expensive. When she gave me the price, I'm like, fuck, but I'll make it work. I'm going to make it work because I have to, and I want to work with you. And she wasn't afraid to like text me. She wasn't afraid to send me a heart here and there. It wasn't sleazy. It was just like, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're on my mind, right? Just a little. It doesn't even have to be, hey, just following up. It was never that. It was more masterful. It was just like a, hey, beauty, how are you doing? Hey, beauty, you're on my mind. She didn't have to say more. She didn't have to say, hey, I'm just checking in. Where are you at in your sales process? No, I know that the heart she was sending me was just like, hey, don't forget there's some beautiful opportunity waiting for you whenever you're ready. Like that heart, that emoji that she sent me entailed a lot more than just the emoji. And I was like, thank you for not letting me off the hook. Literally, because it was scary for me. The investment was scary. I've never invested that much in a coaching program, but her communicational mastery and her not letting me off the hook just because in that moment I was afraid, because it was never a no. It was just a freeze response. So sometimes your people, they want to say yes, but they're frozen. Like they're frozen in fear. That's what literally happened to me. I wanted that, but I couldn't say yes because I was paralyzed by the amount of money. And I'm like, how am I going to make this work? And the freeze response lasted for a couple months. And so, right, like flow and follow the tempo that your client's at. That will never be perceived as annoying. That will only be perceived as energetically very intelligent. And you don't have to put, just following up, okay? I don't do what my Serbian bratans do, even though they're freaking cute. I'm gonna actually link them because they're so precious. I want you to see the website. It's like the cutest shit you've never seen. Man, I send them like so much love, and I know they're gonna be very successful. It's so cute. But yeah, don't do what they're doing, right? They're boys. They're literally like acne coming out of puberty type of boys. They don't have that mastered yet. Communicational mastery. Adapt the tempo of your people, not yours. Next point, one of my favorite. Objections. Objection. The inner child shows up in objections. Do not ever be afraid of objections. They're questions. Objections are the inner child verbalizing its fear in a weird excuse. Don't ever be afraid of that. It's not bad if someone has them. Because like we mentioned earlier, the process of sales might be an immediate yes, but then the fear kicks in. If someone is not as aware, they will just feel the fear, and all of a sudden their conscious mind or their logical mind will want to come up with excuses for why maybe they shouldn't do it. Or I guess I don't have the money right now, or it's too expensive, or it's not the right time, or it's this, or what about that, right? All of these things. Or I don't have my own space right now. I can't do it. Like all of these objections. Realize that you're talking to an inner child. So you are the doula, okay? So this is important for you to know when you apply pressure and when you release pressure. When someone's afraid, their inner child is afraid, right? Because again, change is risky and sales is always change. Even if the change is desired, it's risky for the subconscious. The person might not know why all of a sudden they feel fear, because it felt so good in the beginning, and now when they're about to like say yes and be converted into the next layer of their metamorphosis, they're all of a sudden like, fuck, I'm feeling fear, my body's paralyzed, I'm scared. So they will come up with an objection. They will come up with, I don't know, because blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. They will come up with something. When you're masterful, you hear what they're actually saying underneath it all. And oftentimes it's the inner child saying, I'm scared. Can I trust you? Because think about the whole mountaintop, right? You want to lead them to the mountaintop. You know what's on the mountaintop, right? And even though they want what's on the mountaintop, their inner child is looking at this giant big mountain and is like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Can I really trust you to guide me up that mountain? Because it looks really steep and I'm scared I'm going to fall. I'm scared I'm going to trip and this backpack is super heavy. Okay. How do you get someone from the sidelines to someone who's having their backpack on, ready to go? By hearing what they're really saying. So if the person is coming up with an objection, like whatever it may be, it's not the right time. I have to think about it. Okay, cool, think about it. But also, what do you have to think about? And in that moment, it's important to feel the fear of the inner child. And what the inner child wants is the right amount of, you can trust me, you got this, this is the right decision. Listen to your first impulse. I know you have this. This will change your life. This will transform your life. You're basically saying, here, hold my hand. I got you. Let's go up that mountain. Even if I have to carry you some ways, you can trust me. I know my way around. That is achieved with letting go of pressure in the right time and applying pressure at the right time. Because if someone says, like, tells you their objection, you don't immediately want to go like, make a decision now. Do you want to go on top of this mountain? Like, let's go, let's fucking go. You have to decide now. Like, that's scary, right? The inner child will be like, oh no, I'm running away. Even though I want this is really scary, I'm gonna run. Or I'm gonna just totally freeze. If the inner child is coming up with an objection, which all objections are inner child subconscious asking, hey, can I trust you? Are you safe? And the first objection comes along and you're just like, yeah, whatever. Like, just call me whenever you're ready. It's okay. Yeah, probably it's not for you. And the inner child is actually, no, actually, I want you to like hold my hand and help me up this mountain. I'm just afraid. Can I trust you? And if you release pressure and you're just totally like letting go of them, it's like you're abandoning them. They want to go on top of the mountain. They're just afraid, right? So that's when you have to, that's energetic mastery. And that's what makes this such a multidimensional and shamanic skill. It's not simple. It's very intricate. And that's when you have to feel in. Like sometimes pressure is needed. Sometimes release the pressure. Like, hey, you got this. This is for you on your own time. Right? That's when this comes, hey, I'll call you in a couple weeks. Let's talk back and let's talk in a month from now. Right? Especially when it's like a big investment. You're probably not going to do this for like $1,000 coaching client, but if someone invests 50K or 100 grand, yeah, maybe you have more than one conversation with that person, especially if it's a big investment. So hear what they're really saying and speak to their inner child. That is mastery of sales. The last aspect of sales is metamorphosis. Give people a way to dip their toe in and to convert themselves into more and more transformation. So never think about sales as, oh, I'm closing a sale. Like, no. If you're selling transformation, you never close a sale. The yes is only the start. But make it easy for people to say yes. And it's easy to say yes if they can test something. It's easy to say yes if there is low risk and little transformation, right? Low risk and little transformation feels safe, right? That's an easy yes. A little more risk, a little more transformation, right? That's like, give people stepping stones for metamorphosis. So this way, they can test it. Like, that's the equivalent of like, wait, do I have to go to the mountaintop, or can I kind of just go a little up and stop right there and just see how I feel? Because I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of elevation, right? So even though we're here for imperial elevation, I'm scared of an elevated state of being. I'm scared of heights. So let me just walk like a little, like to the first station of the mountain. Give people an easy way to say yes. This is not about this whole sleazy, oh, if people say yes 8 times, then you have the sale. Like, that's freaking BS. There's no science for that. And that's, again, like sleazy, whatever, 80s BS sales mentality. That's not what this is about. This is about having someone give a little yes to a little transformation with 0 risk or very little risk, and then like allow them to feel safer and safer and safer. So give them a path of metamorphosis. And through that, you will make the transformation and the yes to transformation much easier. And that's a good way of introducing like the big transformation. I really hope that helped. We went on for a long time. I know this was long, but I think for a lot of you, this was so worth it. I think this is such an interesting topic, and I love you so much. Sign up for the newsletter so you don't miss out on the good stuff, okay? Because this is where we get into it. This is also where I package all of this in a 3-minute read, so you can get the email before the video comes out. Sometimes, you know, if you're on a toilet and you're feeling like scrolling and reading rather than watching an hour-long video, I got you. Sign up for the newsletter, babe. I hope to see you for my birthday, and I love you.